My name is Dot Russell. I'm the president of the Sterling Neighborhood Association. I want to welcome you to my neighborhood. I want to welcome you to my home. I want to welcome you to my life. The Sterling neighborhood has such a rich history and legacy that I want you to tap into as you listen to my neighbors, my friends that have had a opportunity to get to know Sterling. You will find not only will you learn something new or find out something exciting about our history, or even bring back memories to the legacy that you know. On top of all of that, you will see the aspirations, the excitement that we have about our future and what it entails and how we expect our expectations of Greenville at large and our role in that, where we will be. You will see all of this. You will hear all of this. As you listen, I ask that you not only listen with your ears, but you listen with your heart. I ask you to open your minds and just visualize what you are hearing from my neighbors and my friends, so you will have the same experiences. I thank you. I appreciate each person that has had a part to play in bringing these stories to light. I thank you because you have given us an opportunity to relive, to revitalize our memories, to bring them forth and to put life back into what we know, back into our foundation. I thank you for your help. I thank you for your support. And most of all, I thank you for your time of just listening to the stories of Sterling. And I thank you for what it will invoke in you and the actions that you will take after you hear of Sterling stories. Thanks again and welcome.
My name is Minnie Fields Thomas. I'm a product of the class of 1959.
My name is Eartha Lee Butler Lewis, and I came to Sterling back in the 50s, and I was in the 8th grade over here.
My name is Paul Anderson. I am a graduate of Sterling High School. I graduated the year 1964.
My name is James Thompson. I am a graduate of Sterling High School, class of 1969.
Hi, my name is Verna Spalding. At the time I started coming to Sterling, I was Verna B. Pasley, P-A-S-L-E-Y, and I enjoyed coming to school here. It was great. At first I was kind of shy because it was my first time coming. I started like in the 8th grade and went through the 12th grade. And my experience was great. I did a lot of learning how to cope with others and how to get along with others. I met a lot of friends, and some are here at the center with us today who I went to school with. And it seems like a long time ago. I'm a graduate of the 12th grade from 1956. I graduated from Sterling, and it was nice. I wanted to be a cheerleader, and at the last minute I came down and tried out to be cheerleading, and I got on it. I was a cheerleader. And also, I was a member of the girls' basketball team, and I enjoyed that, although I didn't make any scores, really. I was a bench warmer, but I was a part of the team. Just being that satisfied me because I wasn't sure I could really play like the others were doing, but I really enjoyed it.
My time at Sterling was some great years. I've had good friends. I played football here.
As early as about 4 or 5 years old, everybody talking about Sterling. Everybody talking about how great it would be to go to Sterling. And I thought Sterling must be something really special.
When I was in grammar school and walking home every day, I used to see all the older kids that went to Sterling walking because we all were in a segregated neighborhood, more or less. So you got to see a lot of people who had to walk, some of them great distances to get to school. And I was always impressed by their character. And I couldn't wait to get to Sterling. So I came to Sterling in September of 1959.
As long as I can remember, Sterling High School was something that we all aspired to attend and graduate from. It was a community effort, an effort that not only your parents supported, but your friends, your families, your neighbors, the entire community. If you said that you were a Sterling graduate, even as a small child, you saw people rear their shoulders back, hold their heads high, and said, "Let me tell you what you will experience." It made you feel as if it was somewhere that you could not wait to get to.
Good evening. I want to introduce myself. My name is Shirley Allman. At the age of 5 years old, my parents moved into Sterling community. Matter of fact, right here on Minor Street, that's where I grew up at. We was there up until, I think, early part of 70, and we moved to Calhoun Street. I am a graduate from Sterling High School, last class, 1970. And growing up in Sterling, as a little girl around the age of 10 years old, Sterling, when they got ready to practice, the majorettes and the band, they practiced it right here on Sterling ground. And since I stayed so close, every time I hear them drums start beating, I ran and got my little stick, and I just tried and I marched around and, and I dreamed of becoming a majorette for Sterling High School. And my dream was answered. I was a majorette. I marched in many bands and at many games that the Sterling performing at football games.
I can recall as a child, maybe 8, 9 years old, particularly, I used to love to go to see the Greenville parade, the Santa Claus parade, the Christmas parade, and see those majorettes and that Sterling band coming off the hill. I'd follow them all the way down Main Street.
Sterling was the only black high school in the city. It was overcrowded, it was underfunded, and just so many things going on. But I can tell you, once I got here, I didn't want to leave.
The teachers was exceptionally good. They were great. They taught us a lot. They taught us how to be men and women in the world.
But I can truly say that the faculty here was second to none. And it was like they was imported from somewhere. You just don't find that kind of person anymore. But they carry it. And so with that carrying, that's what I think makes Sterling what it is today.
Good afternoon. I'm Kerry Howard Butler Fad First. I am also a graduate, a 1969 graduate of Sterling High School. I happen to have been the president of the class of 1969, editor-in-chief of the Torch, president of the District National Honor Society, and I'm honored to have graduated from Sterling. When I was a child, we lived on Green Avenue, in the Green Avenue community.
And I came to Sterling, I think it was back 1969, and when I came, we came about 1 or 2 days, and the Sterling gym, the school got burnt down when I started Sterling. me and my classmates, we still think about Sterling all the time, and we have a reunion, and we get together and celebrate, and we call ourselves Sterling Pride 1972.
I remember some of the things, some of the principals had stated when I was attending Sterling High School. One of them was Mr. Harold Mims. I never will forget the statement he said in the auditorium one day. He gave us this little sermonette about be your best. He said, whatever you do in life, be your best. He said, if you are a brick mason, be your best. If you're a carpenter, an auto mechanic, be your best. So even if you're a garbage man, be your best. Do the best you can. And there were a lot of people that graduated from Sterling that went on to be the best that they can be throughout the world.
Those teachers, they seem to be so concerned about the kids. You learned, you got discipline while you was there, and you knew that they cared. It just wasn't you just go to school and just play around. You really got taught life skills that help us from today to now, where we're at now. We can carry it on to our life, we can pass it on to our children, and it was a strong bond. Even when I meet the old Sterling members, they still have that strong bond.
Mrs. Richardson taught us how to speak properly. I'm very pleased with what she imparted into me. She just taught us a lot. Mr. Edwards, Reverend Mims, they really taught us how to be mannerable, how to be proper. Life at Sterling was great.
I can remember in the 9th grade, there was a Professor Jurgen who had a motto, and I still remember it today, 50 years later, in fact. And his motto was, once a task has begun, never leave it till it's done. Be thy labor, great or small, do it right or not at all. And that's the motto that I've tried to live by. That's the mindset that I've tried to take every endeavor in life that I've tried, every challenge that I've had.
Some of the people that graduated from Sterling that most of you will know if I call their name. One would be the Reverend Jesse Jackson, who ran for President of the United States back in the 80s. He ran twice. He was a 1969 graduate from Sterling High School. There was some that graduated from Sterling High School that went on to play professional sports. We had one classmate that was in our class, but she left school a little early because of her brilliance, and her name was Ojetta Roger Reed Thompson. She's down on the first Federal Court of Appeals. She was nominated by President Barack Obama, and she's there. But she's a product of Sterling High School.
A lot of people went through these halls at Sterling, and Sterling is very well recognized. I don't care where you go in this state or outside of this state. If people have been to Greenville, particularly people of color, they knew about Sterling.
I started going there when I was in the 8th grade and got to go there until the 10th grade. Very short period of time. I was absolutely crushed. I mean, when I say crushed, I mean crushed that I did not get to walk across that stage as a graduate of Sterling High School. I love that school. All of my older siblings, 4 of them, had all graduated from Sterling. And it was my time to graduate, but I didn't get to because it was an electrical storm that night. The building burned down, and the only thing that's standing now is the gym.
Remember the night that Sterling burned in 1968. We were having a dance, and people called and said the school was on fire, and it was unbelievable. It was hard-hearted. We felt it was hard-heartedness, and of course there were rumors about it was set on fire. Of course, they said that was not the case, that it was faulty wiring and everything.
First time it burned, I came up here and cried, standing on the corner of Calhoun Street, and watched it burn. There was nothing I could do but stay out of the way of the firemen. It was so heartbreaking because a lot of memories went up in smoke. Greenville, I can tell you this, you missed a lot by...
Good afternoon. My name is Betty Richardson Cobb, and I want to tell you about my experience of attending Sterling High School. I remember being excited when I was getting ready to go to Sterling High School, and we like grew up together, so we've been friends for a long time. And when the building caught on fire and we found out we had to be separated, it seemed like it just broke up the friendship.
I did not attend Sterling High School until my senior year. And during that time, my grandmother had cataracts on her eyes, and I was living in New Jersey, and someone needed to be here with her. So I came down to stay during my senior year with her while she recovered from that surgery. I spent that year at Sterling. It was a wonderful year. I got to meet many people who knew my family when I was younger, and I met some of the people that knew me personally. So my experiences at Sterling were, at that time, enlightening. I was just so surprised to see a thriving black neighborhood, and Sterling was that. And at that time, it planted in me the desire to want to be a part of that neighborhood. So I went back to New Jersey, married, had children, came back here about 13 years ago, and I bought a house, had a house built in Sterling.
Well, I was here as a young man when Sterling High School was here, and there was so much family going on, so much bliss, so much good time, and I just can remember so much going on. And as today, things have changed, and things had changed even enough for the better, even after school had burned down. And so as I go on, as we grow up, and we look around, we see how things have changed.
I loved the school. When the school had got burnt, it simply broke my heart. And that caused me to be split up from my dear friend. I left here and went to Beck High School. But I got new friends at that school, but I miss my dearest one from Sterling High School.
It was the teachers, the village, that helped raise us to get where we're. I'm a graduate, 1971 graduate of Greenville High School, but it prepared me, Sterling prepared me to go into those schools for such a time as this.
There's so much lost, and the only ones there's only a few of us that remember a lot about the events that was behind Sterling.
To show you the politics of segregation, we were expecting them to build a new school, Southside High School that exists. We all thought they were going to rename it Sterling. But due to some council people on the school board, they put it, at the time, a paper in that stated no school could be named after an individual. That's the reason you have East Side, South Side, Riverside, and these other high schools, because they couldn't at that time be named after an individual. And that more or less, with the suspicious fire that occurred, and this heavy-handed on a school that went back to the impact of the fact that if you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it.
And we actually marched up and down Highway 291 to try to get the city of Greenville to rebuild our school or to build another school. Well, our marching and protesting was all in vain. We had to go to school at night at Beck High. When they were leaving, we were actually coming. And we didn't get out till about 7 o'clock at night. It was fun times on the bus, acting crazy, but you know, we wanted our school. So they ended up giving us a school. They gave us Old Greenville Junior High School and built them a new school. So we went there for a short period of time until integration came, and then all of us were dispersed to other schools.
But when I got ready to go to Sterling in 1967, Sterling was destroyed by fire. I was devastated. I was devastated. I didn't know what would happen to our class or where we would go. But we ended up going to Greenville Junior High School on Westfield Street until the school integrated in February 1970. While at the new Sterling, which was on Westfield Street, we enjoyed the short time we had to be together. We had teachers that were teachers, role models, mentors, and surrogate parents. They cared for us and insisted we do our very best at all times. I still keep in touch with quite a few of my teachers that are still living. Sterling High School lives on, and all of us who walk the halls and benefit from the lessons taught. Although that physical plant is gone, fond memories of Sterling High School will serve generations and still linger in the hearts and minds of all the Tigers near and far. Go Tigers!
And since they closed Sterling, I bet you most of the people that went to Sterling are 60 years old or older now. A lot of our kids, people that we come in contact with, say, what is it about you people that went to Sterling? You know, there's a certain character trait that was developed in all of us. And I was asked one time, say, define what a Sterlingite is. Very difficult because we're all individuals. But what I can say is honor, pride, and thankfulness for those who contributed to our growth. In every group of people, everybody doesn't make it. But for the ones that did make it, if they went to Sterling, there's a strong love and affection that we feel for this holy ground.
Sterling turned out a lot of leaders, a lot of great men and women. Jesse Jackson's one of them. I can name quite a number of them. You had professors. We've even got a few millionaires. Sterling, if it had lasted, I think would have caused a great impact on Greenville. I think the second time it burned was even more horrible because a lot of our earned, a lot of the records were burned, the pictures and all burned, and really the only thing that's left really is this wonderful gym.
Hello, my name is Mary Neal. First, and giving honor to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I am a resident of the Sterling community. I've been a resident of the Sterling community for over 60 years. I still live in the Sterling community today. Sterling means a lot to me. It means a lot to me because I grew up on South Leak Street. And the objectives that Sterling High School set for their students were very high standards. And although it's been more than 50 years ago, we're still living up to those standards. And during the time of attending Sterling, unfortunately, I didn't get to graduate from Sterling because it went up in a fire. And that's the year of the torch. But that was in 1970. And so I would have been a graduate of Sterling had it not been burned down.
Well, hello, my name is Cheryl, and let me give you my maiden name, which is Sherman. I grew up with the name of Sherman. That's my family's name, and we actually grew up in Sterling. So I'm raised here, born here, everywhere. We've lived in two places within the community. The first place that I can remember is on Jenkins Street, and we call that the short end of Jenkins Street. And then we later moved to Leach Street, which is just across Dunbar. But my family has always lived in the Sterling community. So this is the community that I know, this is the community that I love.
My name is Beretta Lindsay, and I'm not a Sterling resident, but I grew up in this community. My grandmother bought her home at 211 Malloy Street in 1942, and her sister followed suit and bought her home at 213 Malloy Street in 1943. We still have my grandmother's property here in Sterling. So for over 50 years, we came back and forth to the gym and the surrounding areas, the churches. This community was a community of pride. You didn't have to go outside of Sterling to buy groceries, to get your hair done. If you wanted to get your laundry laundered, we had a cleaners in the area. And not far from here, we could go to Pendleton Street for items that we didn't have. But Sterling's legacy is more than just the high school. It was the people in this community.
My memories of Sterling goes way back with my grandmother. She lived on Anderson Street before they widened the road. It was a 2-lane road. And we used to walk from Dunbar and Anderson all the way to Miners Chapel, just coming down like in the road right behind my grandmother. I remember growing up in the church and the houses that used to be around the churches until they all was knocked down, and it was just a lot with just the church on it. I remember a lot of the neighborhood corner stores and mom and pop stores here. There was several of them. And there was one favorite one. I used to go to Johnny Howard that was, I think that's Calhoun and Dunbar here. Well, the building is gone. There's like 3 houses in that spot that one store used to sit at. And I remember when Sterling itself used to be very popular. People used to drive for miles to come into this area. And it was a swimming pool over here at one time. And it always stayed busy in this area, always. That's about all I could say.
So at the time when I lived here, I enjoyed staying over here in this community. And then my oldest daughter had got a house over here as her children got older. She stayed on here, but the house that she used to live in, I see they don't tore it down. So Sterling was just a great place to live. So I enjoyed it the time that I lived here.
It's prominent. We had black-owned business. We had your barber shop. We had your beauty shop. We had your dry cleaners, your fast food restaurant. All of this right in this area. As a little girl, matter of fact, it was 8 of us growing up in this community. And we also had the local neighborhood store. And we all was, one thing about it, they said take a village to raise. Pretty much Sterling community in the neighborhood was about like that. Every neighbor, kids, pretty much, we were safe because my neighbor, if I did anything wrong or whatever, they would surely go diss me and make sure it got back to my parents. And a neighbor, it was just like, if my mother's cooking and ran out of some flour or sugar, we could go next door and get that cup of sugar.
I have to say that being reared in the Sterling community is really the foundation of who I am and how it got me to where I am as far as a leader. I actually now reside in the same house that my parents built the year I was born. And there in that family, I had a sister and 4 brothers. My father was a pastor at a church here in the neighborhood, and my mother worked at the hospital. So my family had a large stake in this community about being the pillows of the community, and their thing was always about loving and sharing with others, and as well as educating others.
My name is Greta Jones. I actually grew up on Valentine Street, which is maybe a block or so down the street. I lived in this neighborhood until I had my own children. I played at the gym up here. I had many great times with so many people. The swimming pool, I actually took swim lessons.
We had our own pool. It was the best pool, I think, in Greenville County. Even though I barely got in the water, because during those times when you would get braids in your hair, there's no getting the braids wet. So I would literally sit on the side of the pool, just put my feet inside, and then just pretend like, okay, I'm swimming, but I'm at the pool. Oh, I'm here with friends. And so that was a big highlight. That was a big highlight for me.
Hello, my name is Tony Pepper. My memories of Sterling. I can remember back in the early 70s, we lived about a half mile from here off of Markley Street. And me and my brothers, we used to walk over to Sterling because Sterling was one of the only recreations facilities that had a swimming pool. So we used to walk over, and we used to swim about every other day. And as I got older, around 1978, 77, I played basketball in the Greenville City Rec, which was, we used to play here at Sterling Gym for many, many years. I think I was in that league for probably about 10 years, till my knees got bad. But Sterling does have a lot of good memories here.
Hi, my name is Shanika Brown. When I grew up in Sterling, my name was Shanika Pruitt. I grew up on 17 Valentine Street, just down the street here. We do still have the home and the family, which we love. But growing up in Sterling was the best thing for me. I love the neighborhood. I love being able to, when it was time to be able to come up to the gym during the summer and have the summer camps. We did a lot of things in the summer camp. We did pottery, we went swimming, we went to Paris Mountain. It was just, an overall good feel to grow up here, and everyone was like family.
I remember all the people that lived in this neighborhood. Most of them were school teachers and professors. So, no excuse for you not to get an education, because you had plenty of help. On Jenkins Street, we had the Wash Red, Mr. Shocky's. We also had Miss Alice Cafe. Miss Alice had the best fried chicken in the world. We had a lot of churches over here, so it wasn't no excuse for you not to go to church either, because there was Macedonia, that was Mona's Chapel, that was St. James, that was the House of Prayer. So it was always somewhere for you to go in this community.
Majored in chemistry at A&T and transferred to Chapel Hill for a year. And because of out of state, I transferred to the University of South Carolina, Columbia, and received my pharmacy degree. But what's so amazing about that, when I graduated from USC, you have to do an internship. So I came back to my hometown to apply for an internship. And there was not one pharmacy in Greenville that would hire a Black person. And I will never forget his name, Tom Collier, at the old Greenville General. He told me he had never seen a Black pharmacist. And I asked him, what difference did that make? Because I did graduate from the University of South Carolina. So I'm glad that I I believe that I am truly a Christian, and I do believe that the Lord has already designed your path. And I did not get the job, and I look back now and I am so grateful that he did not hire me, because a minister at my church that at that time, his wife was from Walhalla, South Carolina, and he knew a dentist, a black dentist from Seneca that came to the church, who knew a pharmacist that had a store right up above their offices. And I went over there. Dr. Harold here hired me, and that is where I met my husband.
I have been blessed to be able to give back to the community by being able to have a properly clean and safe place for my tenants. And one of my loan tenants been with me now about 9 years, right in the same community. I try to stay very active within the what's going on with the neighborhood association. I'm a member of the Sterling Land Trust. But yeah, Sterling is just home. It's just home, and always will be home. Like I say, even though that building burned down, Sterling, it didn't burn, and Sterling would never die because this in our heart. I have passed it on to my son, and he tells his kids, which are my grandkids, about.
I, of course, grew up here, right down the street on Valentine Street, right down the street from the Sterling football field. So plenty of memories of going there and playing football, flag football. Probably a lot of people have shared their pool stories with Sterling Pool, which was right outside here. But I do remember just the community always being there for you. So where they say it takes a village to raise a family, this is truly a village.
It was a nice neighborhood, very quiet, conservative, religious. Reverend Daniel from Long Branch Baptist Church lived right next door to my grandparents. Reverend Bell from Inner Baptist Church lived right across the street from my grandparents on Milton Street. And we used to always sit on the front porch, me and my cousins, and tell the stories and play jack songs. And then we used to get up and walk down the street to the Cannon Lady house. I can't remember the Cannon Lady name, but we used to go buy 2 for a penny cookies and 2 for a penny candy. And then we used to walk back up the street to our grandparents' house.
Hello everybody, my name is Andre Watts. I grew up in Sterling. I had a nice time. I enjoyed myself. Enjoyed coming to the sun. Enjoyed being around Sterling. Had a good time. Enjoyed the people back then. Enjoyed Miss Bessie, Miss Alice. I enjoyed coming down here with Sylvia, Paulette, Monroe, Mr. Bobby, all of them, you know what I'm saying? It was good people. They took care of me. I really enjoyed being here after school program and stuff, and just being around lovely people.
When school was out, this is where lots of the kids in the neighborhood, we came here here at Roscoe P. Sadler Gymnasium. We called it the gym. That was the term of endearment we used for this place. We came here, we did a lot of things. We had summer activities, we did arts, crafts, we went on field trips. We shot pool, played basketball, played tetherball, wrestled. We used to have wrestling matches. A lot of my cousins and other friends, they had belts that they won because they were the best. I didn't particularly participate in that. I wasn't the king of the mountain. They were. So I was running around here with all my cousins, my cousin Tara and Travis and Choo Choo and Tamika and others I know I'm forgetting. I hope they don't jump on me. So we spent a lot of time here. You see summer basketball camps that were held here. Lots of people that helped mold us, that taught us the value of community, that taught us, how to take pride in what you're doing and also accountability. I had some poor choices I made in here. I had a couple fist fights, I had a couple shouting matches. And if you did violate those, you were sent home. And by the time you got home, your relatives already knew about that. So we got disciplined here, we got disciplined when we got there. That's a sense of community because we represent this area, we wanted to represent it well. So we spent a lot of time, we got free lunches here. A lot of people came here because, they needed a meal during the middle of the day, and we all got it. So you'll hear jokes about, hey, I don't eat this.
Just put my feet inside and then just pretend like, okay, I'm swimming, but I'm at the pool. Oh, I'm here with friends. And so that was a big highlight. That was a big highlight for me. And as time has gone on, I grew up. The gym is what we call it, which is they call it the community center now, but this place is known as the gym. Like, where are you going today? Of course, we're going to Sterling Gym. This is our hangout. We played basketball here. It's a hangout where we get with a group of friends. We hung out outside, inside, summer programs, everything. And this place was a lifesaver for a lot of us.
Good morning. My name is James Garrison. Most people know me by the name of Monroe. My affiliation with this community center began back in 1980. After I had graduated from college, I was hired on by the Recreation District as an assistant center director under the Roscoe Sattler, who was the center director at that particular time. I was able to had the pleasure of working with Roscoe Sattler for 3 years before his sickness took place. He got ill and he died of cancer. And Roscoe was like another father to me. He often told me that I was like the son that he never had. Of course, he had 2 daughters. But anyway, I became the center director here in 1983. And I stayed here until 2007 as the center director. And some of the best days of my life were spent right here in this community.
Coming here and the memories that we have of playing basketball and running around with what we call our so-called boyfriends and girlfriends we meet here. We would have the summer programs, whereas we would get to come here for the entire summer, stay the entire day, just do all types of activities. We met directors. One director we had was Andrew Jackson, and he was really, really strict on the kids, but a good strict, a solid person. We didn't think at the time that he knew anything, and we thought he was just so mean and so whatever, and we wanted to get away from him. But actually, he taught us a lot. He looked out for us, he watched out for us, he taught us a lot. Of course, when we get in trouble, he would tell our parents on us and whatever. And then there's Monroe. Monroe was a little bit more laid back with us. He taught us things. He watched over us too. And he was just like a father figure for us, even though we didn't like his approach because we're young. We were getting into our teen years and we didn't want anyone to tell us what to do. But just to have that male figure around that actually cared about us, cared about our well-being, cared, when we would leave, where are you going? You going home? It's time to go home or whatever. So we went through that. And then the next person that I actually grew up with, we call his nickname is Gooball. He was a part-time worker here at the Sterling Gym. But we were all just really, really close with the people that I grew up with. After Sebastian Jackson's funeral, we decided to get together and say, hey, just about everybody's moved out that we know of, and we know that people want to come back to make that connection again. They want to see everybody. And so we decided, Sebastian, I think the funeral's in March. we planned an actual community reunion for September. So there's only a few months to get that together. We met as a group in May, talked about it, and said, hey, we need to do this. So scheduled our first reunion for September, I want to say 2016. In a few short months, we got it together, and lo and behold, it was a huge turnout. I mean, like a huge turnout. It was people that grew up back when, that attended Sterling, our parents, our grandparents. It was just so many people, and they were so happy to see each other and to see that older generation come back and to see them embrace each other, and just, it was outstanding. I mean, and so we looked at it and was like, we got to try to continue this every year to bring everybody together, because after it was over, they raved about it. It's like, it was the best time we've ever had, and to fill up the entire inside and then to have the entire outside, and there was cars everywhere, parked everywhere. But that was a great feeling, and we brought everybody together.
To come back to the neighborhood and fellowship with those people that grew up in the neighborhood has been such a, we would have such a great time just remembering and seeing one another. I'd like to see that continue. I can appreciate the growth, but it's, like I said, it just saddens me to see the changes that have taken place, and that people that I grew up with are no longer here. You know, they're no longer in the neighborhood.
And I also, after my mom died and everything, my husband and I bought her house, purchased her house, and some other property in the Sterling community. And I just, you know, look around now, everything seems like, it's like grab this, grab that. They are basically taxing the black individuals who live in the Sterling community out. They are literally harassing some of us about purchasing our property. You can say, I'm not selling, but they still continually harass you about your property, and the taxes have truly gone sky high. So it is, you know, we're praying and hoping that those of us who do still have property in Sterling will be able to maintain it. Beretta and I are trying to work together in even like helping folks with their taxes and purchasing some property, so we as members of the Sterling community can continue to maintain a legacy in this community.
The poor people that live here, you know, I'm not saying I discriminate, and it's good written that whatever hit you will never miss you. So, you know, I mean, I would like to see a little bit more development for us homeless people, because they got plenty of land around here, and I don't know where it's going to or what it's going to do, but just being in this Pacific area, I myself have found quite a venture for work mode and living mode and people you know. And like I say, I've been a well-traveled person, so it doesn't matter where you at. I understand, long you know how to adjust with people, live with people, and carry yourself in accord.
My name is Paulette Brooks. I am the center manager for the Sterling Community Center. And I didn't start off as the manager of the Sterling Community Center. In 2011, I was hired as a part-time summer counselor. And little did I know then the impact that Sterling would have on me coming in to this facility. I didn't know the rich history of the Sterling Community Center, but as I stayed and became the manager, and seeing people come in and talk about the love of the Sterling Center, not just the center, but when it was a high school, the love of the area, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. And since becoming the manager, my job here is to facilitate others and to expand the vision that was already here prior to me getting here. And one of the visions that I have for the Sterling Community Center and the Sterling community as a whole is to be a beacon of light. When I first came here, and even up until now, we have a lot of activity, extracurricular activity, and it's not always good. But even with the drug addicts and the homeless population that is around here, the people still take pride in this place. They take pride in the Sterling Community Center. So my vision for this place is to be a beacon of light, not necessarily to change the homeless population or the prostitute population, because they may not want to change. But if we can be a beacon of light to let them know that we embrace them regardless of their background and what they have or don't have, that is what my hope and desire is. And to be able to be a hand up and not just a hand out. I want to help those who want to be helped, and those that don't, I want to be I guess a set of arms to embrace them.
Hi, my name is Dina Harris, and I am working currently with Favor Upstate. I'm the Community Outreach Director there, and I'm real happy to be here today. I am a native of California, Los Angeles, California. I moved here, and I've been here over 15 years. Probably more like 20. And when I came with an addiction. I was running from LA, where I had gotten caught up in crack cocaine, and that was my life. And so coming here, I thought things would be different, and that's not what the case was. So in getting here, life took its shape and its form, and I ended up, I moved to off of Haney Street in Greenville, South Carolina, and that's very close to Sterling. And I had a family, 3 kids who were grown now, and I was married at that time. And myself and my husband were caught up in smoking crack cocaine. And everything that we did and had was caught up in crack cocaine. So my Sterling story is just this. At that time, I would hear that, okay, there's good dope in Sterling, and we walk over here to Sterling and make our purchase.
But even with the drug addicts and the homeless population that is around here, the people still take pride in this place. They take pride in the Sterling Community Center. So my vision for this place is to be a beacon of light, not necessarily to change the homeless population or the prostitute population, because they may not want to change. But if we can be a beacon of light to let them know that we embrace them regardless of their background and what they have or don't have, that is what my hope and desire is. And to be able to be a hand up and not just a hand out. I want to help those who want to be helped, and those that don't, I want to be I guess a set of arms to embrace them. There was a prostitute that would come in all the time, and I don't know where she is now. I haven't seen her in a while. And I would talk to her about coming off the streets, and she wasn't interested in that. But she would come and sit and have conversations and talk to me about, her life. And I would give her an encouraging word of, you're going to be okay, and don't let anybody misuse you. And I'm sure somewhere I planted a seed. And that is what the Sterling Community Center does. We plant seeds, and someone else will give the increase. Someone else will water. And of course, I believe that God would give the increase.
My name is Mac Mertens, and my big connection to Sterling is I built a community garden at the Sterling Hope Center for my Eagle Scout project. And I originally had no intention really of doing this garden, because I had something planned and everything for the summer of 2020. And ultimately, like many of our plans, that fell through. So there I was, needing a new project. And it just so happened that my father just kind of on a whim put me in contact with Miss Sylvia and said, this is someone who you might want to reach out to. I know she has helped a lot of people. Her son's an Eagle Scout, and I'm sure she can give you a few ideas. And I called her, I got her email from that, and we started talking, and I found out that the garden at the Hope Center had been overrun with weeds and a fallen tree, and it really needed refurbishing. So I got to work setting that up, and over the process of about 6 months, 5-6 months, it went from just a field full of weeds with a broken fence and a fallen tree to a whole new 30 by 45 foot garden with planter beds and mulch and a chain link fence, and something that I not only felt proud of myself, but something that I knew would be meaningful to the community, something that I knew wouldn't just have a plaque on it that says Eagle Scout by so-and-so, but something that I knew would be used and something that I knew would be more than just something to look at. So that really was my drive in this project. That was what kept me going on those hot July days or cold October nights.
Hi, I'm Jared Davis. I'm from Fourth Presbyterian Church. I'm just going to tell the story of how I became involved with Sterling. I would play basketball at church in open gym with Tim Taylor, who one day asked me if I wanted to go on a trip with to take the kids somewhere. And so I really don't remember the first trip. We probably went for a hike or something, maybe up at Table Rock or Paris Mountain, and just kind of fell in love with the kids and being outside and showing them experiences. And from that, it evolved for me being heavily involved for the better part of a decade with Sterling, being the liaison between Fourth and Sterling, and just really became a passion of mine to help and to try to get this community to back where it was and back where it still can be. It's been hard sometimes. There's been blood, sweat, and tears, but it's a great community with great history, and I just really hope to see it continue and to thrive.
For Sterling to now to see what it has become, these townhomes with no front on them that cost $600,000, people that's trying to decide whether or not they buy medicine or they buy food, they're being moved out of Sterling because of taxation. And part of the thing with Sterling is we have to give back. We have to give of our time, but we have to find ways and opportunities to spend time with the children here, with the elderly people, and use whatever gifts God has given us to maybe help with the land trust or the neighborhood association, which is the things that I try to do to give back and be a part of. Sterling has a large legacy. It's not just a legacy of how people succeeded, it was just how they lived and what they wanted to see for Sterling. Sterling to me means hope.
I'm Sylvia Vandross. I live in Sterling Community and also work at Sterling Community Center. I've been in the community for over 20 years. First thing I noticed about moving over here was that changes was happening. And I noticed that on Arlington Street, how the houses were being torn down and new ones was going up. And then over at on the gym side, how homes were being torn down, and you just didn't know what was beginning to happen. And we see now the gentrification of the community happening. For us, the community center, working here, once I learned how to work in the community, and I learned that from Miss Reed, who no longer is with us, who taught me a lot about building relationships in the community and finding people to help me work with the neighbors in the community, and getting to know the families, building trust within the community, with everybody. That was some of the biggest things that I have learned, and also through working with the seniors, I learned community.
My daughter brought me to this center, Sterling, and I met a very, very nice crowd. I was introduced to another Betty White. Then another Betty Jean. I think it's around 5 or 6 of us. So that name is Precious.
A member here, and I have enjoyed being here. I like working with the coordinator, and my grandkids, they became a member of the summer program, and my great-grands now, they are a member of the after school and the summer program.
My name is LaSamra, and I grew up in the Sterling community. My mom is Sylvia Vandross, so I volunteered a lot over here as a child during middle school and high school. I was also a part of the junior leader program here at Sterling Community Center and a part of the bike club that was formed here. And then I became a summer camp counselor and kind of stayed in the realm of the job. Basically growing up here, I learned a lot, was able to grow up around people, meet new friends.
Community. As I appreciate the changes that are happening, but I would love to see the community center, of course, being a larger service to the community where we are providing more programming to the residents and having more of the residents being involved in the center, especially our teen community. I also would like to see more of our homeownership, because as we have seen over the years, people who rent, that's not a permanent home. And they can be renting, and then the owner of the home decide to sell it, and then they're without a home. We've seen a lot of that. So I would love to see more home ownership, people being able to thrive, and the community center playing a big role in that.
I graduated from Sterling High School, and I'm now a real estate broker in charge and a licensed South Carolina residential home builder. So that's what I do. Among other things in the community, one of the things that I do, I sit on the board of the Sterling Land Trust. In this community, for those that need housing, first-time home buyers, people that can't afford homes, we're trying to find places for them to rent. And so we're going to build and do what we can to give back. We realize that there's a lot of changes taking place. Some will call it gentrification, but at the same time, people that grew up in this community with me, that live here, that love the place, we want to make sure that they have a place where they can reside and enjoy and begin to teach the children that come behind them some of the values that we were taught. Values about being your best, having pride in your community.
And what I would like to see for the future is I know that things are changing and we need that change, but I don't want it to change so much that it loses the actual authentic Sterling, you know, the historical Sterling.
And I've just been recruited recently to help out with the land trust. So just getting kind of involved in all these different aspects of the community and a lot of the things that make Sterling such a special place. And just really, you know, like I was saying, we still feel like we're kind of, you know, newcomers, new residents, but just getting a sense of just the rich history, deep legacy of the neighborhood, and just being able to share that, to understand that with folks.
I would like to see more low-income houses for older people like me, or either renovate the ones that are still up so people can live a decent life.
It's changing, but I still like it, you know. I hope the way we came up, the morals of coming up like that, I hope it's still here. And some of the people that are coming in now, because I don't know, but it's like 5 or 6 families that grew up here that are still here, you know, that I know. So I just say it's just a good area. If you can get over here, I ain't gonna say come over here, but it's a good area.
Some of the sadness, some of the disparity, it really breaks my heart because I know that we can do better. I know that we can have better. I know that we have more power than we think we have. And when I say we, I mean my entire community. We've had different things to happen within our community that has destroyed trust of our governmental officials, whether they were part of the city or the county. Different promises that our neighborhood has been told things would be repaired. Just like there was a sidewalk that was being built when I was 6 years old. It was being repaired. I remember when I was 8 asking my dad, when would they finish? He said, one day soon. That sidewalk still needs repairs. There's no need for that. There's no need for some of the things that we experience in this neighborhood. In 2021, there's no need to not have a grocery store nearby. There's no need not to have adequate transportation where my neighbors have to walk so far just to catch the bus, or certain days they can't work because the bus is not running and this kind of thing. There's no need for that. We as Greenville, we are too progressive. We are too smart. We've got too much within us to have communities within our grasp that are still suffering when we have other communities that are very vibrant and they're exploding.
Now, one of my goals that I would like to see in this community is to increase homes for those that's qualified to be homeowners. And if they're not qualified, then I would like to see a program established that will enable them to be qualified so they can be homeowners. This is a great community with a lot of history behind it.
One thing that I would just dearly love to see is that corner revitalized and made into even a museum. Because it has so much history. I truly love the Sterling community because for 4 years, this is where I spent the majority of my day.
That is my hope and vision for the Sterling Community Center and the Sterling community, that the people who have pride in this community would stay in this community, and that they would continue to come to this beacon of light when they need assistance, or when they just need a word of encouragement, or when they just need a helping hand. So that is my vision.
In the future, I'd like to see more staff, because I talked to Miss Paulette today and she said that they're a little low staffed, and I know that they used to have a lot of people before COVID hit, and I know like businesses and things like this are definitely taking a toll due to this pandemic, but I mean, once it's all gone, I want to see community come together and definitely get this place back to where it was before. So
oftentimes when I'm out in the public, it thrills my heart when I see some of the kids that came through the program. Now they're living a productive life, and they are a family. They are heads of family. And then I had the opportunity to work with people that are fathers and mothers now. And then after they came through, I was able to work with their sons and their daughter. And I tell you, it's just a great experience. And I thank God for my time at Sterling Community Center.
But in this almost 20 years, I want to say that, yes, I did have some bad times. Walking over to Sterling, dope dealers, running off with my money, losing the love of my life to the streets of Sterling. I can honestly say that over that time, I have seen the Sterling community being uplifted, things changing. So there are other people that are part of the solution, and we're getting out of the problem. And the Sterling community is being lifted up. And I want to share that to the point of, I want to be part of the solution.
I've seen it grow, but I've also seen builders and contractors and people come in and buy some of the black people out and replace them with big apartment buildings and things that they know we can't afford. And it's like disheartening. And now I have seen so much growth in the Sterling community, but most of the blacks have been forced to move out. And I keep getting offers myself to move, but I am determined I'm going to stay here until the end. And hopefully a little bit of us will be able to hold on to the Sterling we knew. When I first heard about the neighborhood association, and I was told that before any growth happened, any changes happened in the community, that it would be brought before the neighborhood association. But things start, I guess, happening so fast that they neglected to let us know what was going on. And before we knew it, big buildings were being erected in the area, and people were being forced out of their homes because if they didn't have the money and stuff to improve their properties, they were being told that the city would condemn them. So they took whatever money was offered them and left. But I'm praying now that younger people will take a more interest in the community and try to help us save this community.
There's an opportunity to open a business here. What about that cleaners? Mr. Sharkey, bless his soul, he's long gone, but there's sons. There's sons around. So what if we bring back that feel, that cleaner, a small business cleaner, put it back in the community. Small grocery, put that in the community. We had laundromats here, there was a little bit of everything. Because, back then there was some people that had cars and some people didn't. So things needed to be close for us to, walk around to get to. And that's what I would suggest.
I pray that this documentary will touch the hearts of somebody and maybe expand on building up this community again. There's a lot of revitalization going on, I've noticed, but not to remove the people who were here years, but to be inclusive of those people and not just have a lot of regentrification where you build these mega homes in this community. Don't push the people away from what they know and from where they grew up, and people can come back and remember their families lived here, lived there. So please, if anything comes out of this, I feel like the ancestors are really speaking to us. You know, Dr. Mims, Mr. Chapman, all of them, Mr. Kearns, who were instrumental in our education. They're speaking to us through these interviews, and I know that they would want the Sterling High School memories to continue on far more in the future than 2022. This site should be labeled a historical site so that it can remain here in this community and not be destroyed.
Sterling now to be, regarded as a blight of Greenville County when it was actually a light of Greenville County, and now for that light to slowly be burning out because of now developers come in with big money, and they behoove the people that are here into thinking that, hey, you can take this money, you can go somewhere else, when in fact there's nowhere else to go. So for my family, Sterling is always home. It's a place that we can come to. We know people here, and we can stand out and talk to them for hours. It's just a place that when you leave home and you get something to eat, you always want to just go over and see what's happening in the neighborhood. So even though I'm not a resident, I feel like I have been a resident all my life because I know every street, crook, and nanny, and church, and I can call on people at any time, or people call on me, and it's just a sense of belonging here in Sterling. So I encourage anyone that has an association with Sterling to reach out, to reach back, to give up your time, even if it's for a couple of hours a month. It's worth doing, it's worth preserving, and I hope that this video finds warmth in your heart and prayers for all of us, for this is our community, this is our community of hope, and we have to keep Sterling pride alive.
We often think about once we get involved, it has to be financially. There's so many needs in Sterling. Just getting involved in the neighborhood in and of itself. Sometimes we might have a cleanup day, or you just want to go and interact with some of the neighbors and let them know you haven't forgotten about them. At one point, Sterling was the first African American community that was developed in Greenville, and it was one of the richest African American communities that existed in Greenville. And we can't reconnect or rebuild what we had, but at least we could take advantage of this opportunity to try and make it better in today's date of 2022. Now I'd like to also provide you the email address. If you would like to learn a little bit more about the Sterling and the Sterling Land Trust, as well as the Neighborhood Association, you can go to the website, which is located at Sterling, and this is all lowercase, Sterling Land Trust GVL.com. And I'll repeat that, Sterling, all lowercase, Land Trust, one word, GVL.com. That will get you to our website. You can navigate around in the website and see all the different functionalities or areas or ways in which you can get involved and see what's going on in Sterling. Our next charge with the Land Trust is to build some more affordable housing. We see the need. We want to make sure people who would like to get involved and want to live in Sterling would have the opportunity to do so. And by building these smaller units that we plan to build, it will enable us to put more people into Sterling, maybe some grandmothers who are single, living alone, or veterans, or people with disabilities and would like to live in the proximity of downtown Greenville. These next complexes that we put in will enable us to do that. So again, on behalf of the Sterling Land Trust, I hope if you've enjoyed the video and you'd like to go back and watch it again, feel free to do so, but share it with your children, your grandchildren, and just let them know this is what Sterling means to a lot of people, even today. Sterling has been gone now since the mid-60s, But yet it's still deep in our hearts. The blue and white runs deep in our blood, is blue and white, and it runs deep in our souls. So for that reason, we continue to appeal to keep Sterling active and live in a lot of people's minds. So that being said, again, on behalf of the Land Trust, we thank you for your time, and we thank you for any contributions that you might make in the future. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Sterling High School, Sterling High School, Sterling High School, bless her name. Will we in defeat or victory, we'll lawyer just the same as we sing for Sterling High School.
Sterling High School, Sterling High School, bless her name, and in defeat of victory, bless her name.